I'll be using this to make this. So here's the idea. I've got a newborn and he suffers with colic and acid reflux. So I'm going to use this bit of wood, cut that to the shape of the Moses basket, give it a nice sturdy flat base. These bits of timber, not the prettiest I know, but it's what I've got laying around. To build a frame that goes all the way around this, so this thing can then sit in like a socket, you know, so it's nice and sturdy and supportive. You'll then be able to lay him down, lift up the platform, give you a slope. So there's the idea. So before we get into that show and tell, if you'd like to know how things are made or how they work, then you have come to the right channel, because that is all that we do. So don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe and turn on the all notifications so you don't miss out on any of my future uploads. That's when I do an upload. This is not my career. I don't make money for YouTube. I'm generally working all the time. So that being said, I upload when I can and hopefully it's of interesting stuff to you. But nonetheless, hit that subscribe, that like button and turn on the all notifications. I'll see you then. What you think? New merchandise purchased by a good customer of mine called Ben. Top banana. Right, now the key thing is, before you do any form of woodwork, you must know what measurements you're working to. So I've actually measured the size of that is the size of this. This is what I'm hoping to achieve. So this square platform is my frame. I'm then going to make the frame out of the timber, which obviously I've got glue, screw and secure, and then shape one that's done. And then make a socket for that to go into the back of it. But this is pretty much what I'm after. A nice circle for that tool to sit in. Important to do measurements. So I've done my measurements. I know what I'm working to. So now with that done, I'm going to use the Moses basket to mark where I want it to be on my wooden platform. And then I'll mark it either edge to know exactly where I want it to be. Then I'll use something to get a nice curve on each end. I will then cut that out and that will be my base plate. There's my pencil line. That's where I want our finished result to be. As you notice, I haven't cut to that line because when you use a jigsaw, you'll get something that's called tear out. Can you see all these bits of wood all torn out? Not only that, if I get this angled right, as you can see, it's not an actual square cut. So jigsaws are good for a quick rough cut. I wouldn't use them as a finished product because of the tear out and the cut itself is not actually square. What we'll do to rectify that now is to get on the bench sander. And here's my bench sander. Now, I know what you're thinking, oh, I don't have a bench sander, they're really expensive. I got this bait, bit rattly. I got this bait from Lidl's for like 40 quid, so there's no real excuse. And trust me, it's a cracking bit of kit. Maybe one day if I can be bothered, I can do a tool review on it, but that's another time for another story. But this is what we're going to now use to get this down to a nice clean edge. We're simply going to get it in there. A nice, smooth, circular motions, like so. And there you have it, nice, beautiful curve. Yeah, it's a bit dusty, so now it's time to break out the hoover. So now we've got a base cut, that fits on there beautifully. Why? Because I measured it first. So now we've got to think about using the frame because it's bulging out. So we're going to use our timber, that will then stick itself to the side. But I don't want to put screws through the side, I want that to sit in a lip in this timber, if that makes sense. And what that will do, that will then pull those sides in and keep the actual Moses basket more supportive. Stop making so much noise, you. And again, also it will stop the Moses basket from moving around because technically it will be in a socket. So that's the next stage now, is to work out our frame. I'll need to keep some form of a ledge or lip for this bit to sit onto. But obviously you don't want square edges, so it's going to look ugly. Just round off the edges, like so. So now we've got our basic shape. We've now got to build the subframe. Now if you've got a steamer, you can simply stick this damn thing in a steamer and just bend it around. I don't have a steamer, so I got to make the shape thing and sand it, router it, and do all the other bits and pieces to get the curve that I want. So that's what we now got to work out. Right, I've now done my arches. It took me some time to work out what I needed. By using my template, which you can see is how I actually worked out how many bits of wood I needed to go around that to get my arch. Once I figured out how wide I needed them to be, I then had to then at that point work out the angles I needed to cut to get them all started together like so. I actually worked mine out to be like 9 degrees off centre. So obviously then done that, stuck them together, leaving them dry for a couple of days. So the next stage to do now is to simply smooth this off. Get a nice curve on the inside, get a nice curve on the outside, and just basically just work it backwards and forwards until it's nice and smooth. Right, now that we've got our edges all nice and smooth, thing of beauty, that's what that is. I actually went over this with, I think it's 180 grit, get that real nice smooth finish. Did you see, look at that, look at that. Thing of art. What we now got to do is to lay these parts flat and basically mark out where we want those to be situated. The reason why we've got to do that is because we've got to now work out the inner supports and cut those to length. Now that we've got our inner supports cut, we've now obviously got to secure these 4 pieces together. How I'll be doing that will be using these biscuit joints. They're not the strongest, but they're actually quite good and useful in situations like this. So once that's dried, we can then actually come back, mark out where our base plate's got to go, and then take it all from there. Note to oneself here, I'm actually putting way too much glue on these ends, and the reason being, because if you don't, what actually happens is because it's an open end, that will draw all the glue in, and saying don't put enough on, what little glue you put on there will be drawn in, and it won't stick. So my philosophy is, you can always wipe it off. I've let it dry overnight, and what I've also done is I've gone around with my belt sander. Now belt sander looks like this, just to simply round all the edges off and get it all nice and smooth, so it just makes obviously a lot easier for the next stage. To ensure I don't remove too much material from the support, I'll be using the base plate as a template. And there we are, all nice and sanded, all the grooves are made. All we've got to do now is simply see if the base fits. Oh, nice and snug. Right, all we have to do now is make these edges look a bit prettier by simply getting the router and just rounding them off. And so just simply making it prettier. So if you're following what I'm doing here, then that choice is up to you. I'm just simply going to bullnose all. Right, I've just gone and done a fit test to obviously see if it fits. While I've done it, I also marked on the underside the brackets which I need to make. Because this thing, is design of it obviously to tilt. So you need to make some brackets for the underside to stop it from moving backwards and forwards. Now that's done, now it's time to work out the elevator part. One thing I've got to bear in mind, this is how it's going to sit on the actual frame. So you can see this section is now actually higher than that section. So to compensate that, what we've got to do, we've got to obviously get a right block to fit that in there to make sure it's all nice and level. That actually helps us out with a platform, because I now can use this bit of wood, obviously it'll be the inside, but you won't be able to see what I'm on about. But that will now be able to house itself onto that bit. I'll then be able to do my notches. So as the seat goes up, it'll then be able to raise up. Not very clear, I know, but you'll get the gist in a minute. Going round off the edges now, both edges. Then we can actually work out our steps. I've done my markings. I'm hoping it's going to work well. In theory, lock us there. And the next one, final reach. I reckon that'll be enough. Let's get cutting. Now that's done, as you can see I've stuck the base plate in, so the next stage is to stick in the housing to see if it fits. And there we are, the project is now done. I must admit, before I made this recording, we have been using it for like a couple of weeks, and it has made such a massive difference to my boy's sleep. He's getting a good like 4 to 5 hours solid sleep now at night, so it's yeah, one of the probably best things I've probably ever done. So if this is of any interest to you and you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.